Welcome to Reading Africa. Today we're going to read about the Mthwakazi Kingdom. Mthwakazi is the traditional name of the proto-Ndebele people and Ndebele Kingdom, and is in the area of today's Zimbabwe. Mthwakazi is widely used to refer to inhabitants of the Mthwakazi province in Zimbabwe. It was established in 1823 and de-established in 1894. Its capital was Bulawayo. Its common languages were Kalanga, Kushian, Nambia, Ndawu, Ndebele, Shangani, Tonga, Tswana, Venda, Soto, and Xhosa, and its government was a monarchy. The word Mthwakazi was derived from the name of Queen Mutwa, the first ruler of Mthwakazi territory. The Mutwa pseudo-dynasty survived up to around the 18th century. She was the matriarch of the Abatwa, the Sand people. With the arrival of the Bantu people, Mthwakazi territory became increasingly a center of diverse cultures. These local groups maintained their local autonomy. However, boundaries were fluid and intermarriages were common. The later arrival of the Nguni peoples in the late 18th century and early 19th century saw the intercultural society of Mthwakazi evolving into a sovereign state that was recognized by both neighboring African states and foreign powers. Mthwakazi has a long history of diverse cultures and arts. King Mthwakazi is said to have marveled at the great diverse and collective union, saying, "Saze sabasihle isizwe sakomthwakazi, umbutho ukazi, udlela zimhlophe njengensimu yamaluba," loosely translated as, "Oh, how beautiful, great and diverse the union is. It is like a garden of flowers." Several peace treaties marking the borders of Mthwakazi were signed, and Mthwakazi existed as a sovereign state. In 1839, Mthwakazi and his people finally settled north of Ramaqabane River, the southwestern region of what is, in 1980, became Zimbabwe. Mthwakazi, contrary to propaganda in Zimbabwean books, did not conquer Mthwakazi, nor did he establish Mthwakazi. In fact, Mthwakazi had existed as a highly developed state with the pseudo-dynasty of Abatwa. It was led at the time by the Mambo of the Kalanga and included many chieftainships of the Tonga, Soto, Venda, Nambia, Kalanga, Karanga, and others. Mthwakazi negotiated to settle in Mthwakazi, and his gentleman's agreement is what led to the understanding that Mthwakazi wawubuswa ngobudlelwano bukaMambo lomzilikazi, loosely translated as Mthwakazi was governed by a coalition of Mambo and Mthwakazi. It was in the first battle with the Boers post Mthwakazi's settlement in Mthwakazi along the Limpopo River that the first sketchy military council was established, which included the chiefs from all over Mthwakazi territory, including notably Mambo of the Kalanga and Mthwakazi. Before Mthwakazi came in to settle in this unarmed land, the Portuguese were the first to arrive, and they traded for ivory with the Shona groups in the Mthwakazi Kingdom. These Shona groups built stone structures such as Kami, the Great Zimbabwe Ruins. The ethnic groups which were found in these unnamed areas are the Kalanga, Venda, Xhosa, Soto, Nambia, Tonga, Karanga, Zezuru, Korekore, Ndawu, and Manyika. The kingdom united the Kalanga tribe, the Wasuka tribe, the Ginsma tribe, and the Tafaka tribe under a strong leadership. This kingdom was often attacked by the south by the Vendas and the Soto, east by the Shona, and the west by the Tswana. King Mthwakazi's arrival was very welcomed, as he gave military support to the Mambo's kingdom. Ndebele children played and sang a song called Kudala Wagunganje Umhlaba Uyapenduka Wagubusa Umambo Lo Mthwakazi, loosely translated as, "A long time ago it wasn't like this. Mambo and Mthwakazi ruled together." One thing to point out was that there were many different tribes living in the large territory. The Kalanga people can be seen in both Botswana and Zimbabwe, just like the Nambia and the Tonga are both in Zambia, Namibia, and Zimbabwe. These tribes and others were assimilated by the Ndebele in Zimbabwe. A strong army was to be established. However, by virtue of King Mthwakazi already having a standing army, he became by default the commander-in-chief of the armies, and men were enlisted to join his army. The Limpopo River was successfully defended, and King Mthwakazi became by default the leader of the Mthwakazi. The effects of Mthwakazian success led by Mthwakazi in campaigns defending the Limpopo line in the battles against the Boer attacks of 1847 to 1851 was so much that it persuaded the government of the South African Republic to sign a peace treaty in 1852. With time, due to absolute power King Mthwakazi was gaining, Mthwakazi developed into a kingdom in which he was the head. However, King Mthwakazi died in September 1868, and his succession was placed on Lobengula. However, Lobengula's succession was not accepted by Mthwakazi's older sons and the chiefs. Therefore, Lobengula faced a rebellion and a civil war in 1870, and in 1872 he repelled an invasion by Mangwane and a pretender backed by the British in the entire colony. Lobengula maintained Mthwakazi's power over a huge section of the Zimbabwean highfield until the Witwatersrand gold discoveries of 1886 drew attention to the gold in Mthwakazi Kingdom and in the neighbouring Mashonaland. A treaty of friendship was signed with the British in February 1888, which was known as the Moffat Treaty. However, it was distorted by the British government in order to declare the kingdom a British colony. In October 1888, Lobengula signed a limited mineral concession with a group of Cecil Rhodes business associates, led by C.D. Rudd, but it was distorted as well, manipulated to appear as a gold concession to his entire kingdom. In 1889, it was accepted as authentic by the British government and used to charter the British South African Company, BSAC. Lobengula refused the BSAC's access to the areas under his control, and in 1980, the BSAC treaty occupied the neighbouring Mashonaland due to Mthwakazi's concession and treaty. Due to constant interference and friction between the two sovereign states, a borderline was agreed between Mthwakazi and the British Mashonaland colony. After British settlers failed to find much gold in Mashonaland, Jameson, BSAC administrator, after 1891, invaded the Lobengula's Mthwakazi's kingdom in September 1893. To justify the invasion, and false mendicious claims were made that the Ndebele intended to attack the BSAC colony of Mashonaland. Faced with these attacks, as well as simultaneous invasions by British imperial forces from the south, Lobengula left his capital Bulawayo, and the invaders could not capture him. He disappeared in the direction of the Zambezi River. It is conventionally presumed that he died in late 1893 or early 1894. After the 1893 invasion, Mthwakazi has been ruled by conquest ever since. The existence of Mthwakazi under the rule by conquest for more than 120 years has been perpetuated to deny Mthwakazi's statehood, subjecting it to alien interest, domination, subjugation, and rendering the rulers to corruptly exploit Mthwakazi's economic resources. The rule by conquest emerged as an unprovoked, bloody invasion by the British South African Company's mercenaries and violated the 1888 Moffat Treaty of Peace and Unity. The invasion was made by the British through the Royal Charter on the 29th of October 1889. On the 14th of August 1893, at Fort Victoria in British Mashonaland colony, the BSA Company signed a secret contract called the Victoria Agreement, pledging to give each mercenary a free farm of 6,000 acres with the title deed value of 9,000 sovereign pounds, 15 gold reefs, 5 gold alluviums, a share of looted cattle, one half of the BSA Company, another half being shared equal between the officers, and a share of the kingdom's mineral consisting of 2 20-litre tins of biscuit, one full of pure gold with another full of uncut diamonds. all worth 10 million sovereign pounds, and also a provision of forced and cheap labour of the conquered people of once Mthwakazi. On 18 July 1894, Britain conquered the Ndebele order in council, legitimising the Victoria Agreement as the jurisdiction of ruling the Mthwakazi by conquest, as well as the legal basis of the constitution of the rule by conquest. The BSA Company proceeded to expropriate all the fruitful lands from the Intercultural Society of Mthwakazi, dispossessed them of 600,000 cattle and other valuable properties, displacing people by exiling them to the inhabitable 2 native reserves where they remained poor as forced and cheap labour. The BSA Company promptly formed the conquest government, which ruled by terror, imposed deprivation situations against the people of Mthwakazi, and opportunity reservations for the rulers. The culture of Mthwakazi was broken down, including the crucial support system that was based on the extended families, which had assisted the people to help each other during hard times such as death, famine, and disasters. The society got disorganized, followed by the personality disorganization and permanent extreme poverty of the whole Intercultural Society of Mthwakazi. In 1823, Britain made the constitution which ruled Mthwakazi jointly with Mashonaland and made the white minority rulers who left the Intercultural Society of Mthwakazi without franchise. The white minority ruled, culminating in the 1970s Bush War, which further displaced many people. By the 1980s, the Bush War led to the decolonization of the state of Rhodesia into Zimbabwe. This is the end of the reading of the Kingdom of Mthwakazi. Thank you for listening.